This video is sponsored by PageProof.
Hi, I'm Kremser for CreativePro, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the new Turntable feature in Adobe Illustrator Beta. To try out Project Turntable for yourself, you'll need to make sure that you have the Adobe Illustrator Beta app installed. I already have that on my system, but just to show you how you can install it for yourself, open up your Creative Cloud Desktop app. Over here on the left, just go ahead and click the Apps button, and then up here at the top, just click the Beta tab to get to all of the public betas that you're able to install. I do have Illustrator Beta installed, but you can just go ahead and click Install on any of these public beta apps that you would like to try out. And it should be noted that this will not affect the versions of the applications that you already have installed, and you can run both simultaneously. Once the app is installed, just go ahead and click Open. Once the app opens up, you can always check which version you're in by looking at the icon up here in the top left on your home screen. And if the application icon is in this blue and white color scheme, you are in the beta version. Now you can just create or open a new file as normal. Here I have a file with a simple coffee cup character. If I open up my layers panel, you can see that I just have a locked background layer. And then in our character layer here, it's just a simple character made up of paths. I'm going to go ahead and just group that by using Control or Command G. And now we have a single group that we can apply the turntable effect to. So I'm going to use my shortcut Control or Command H to hide my edges and nodes so that we can see the turntable effect a little bit more clearly. I'll close my layers panel, and now you can find a shortcut to the turntable function up here in your control bar, or you can always get to it by going to your object menu, down to generative, and then turntable is in here. So we'll just go ahead and click that to bring up the turntable function. And Illustrator will take just a few seconds to generate the different views for you. I'll leave this in real time so you can see how long it takes. And notice the tip down here that says your artwork should be saved as a group in the layers panel. So do make sure that you group any objects that you are wanting to turn around before you open up the turntable tool. Once Illustrator has generated the various views, you'll get your floating turntable toolbar here that allows you to rotate the object. And you'll also have a few buttons here at the end to give general feedback on the output. Notice in your Properties panel that you'll have some previews of your variations as well. And if we scroll through here, you can see different thumbnail views of possible rotations. If we look into our Layers panel right now, you'll see that we still have our original group, which has been hidden, so your original artwork won't be deleted. And now we have a generative object on top. And if I expand my Layers panel here a bit, it will even give us the coordinates to show us that this is currently not rotated on either axis. If I open that up, we still see all of our pieces in here, so everything is still vector. Go ahead and close my Layers panel here. And we'll take a look at the buttons on the turntable toolbar. The first button here is a reset to original view, which will get us back to this current view. And then we have our slider here, which you can freely drag to view the different angles of your object. We also have the next two buttons here to tilt the artwork up or down. And notice that those only work in 45-degree increments in each direction. So you can't get a true 360 here because we aren't actually working with a full 3D object. And just to note, when the AI does have to guess at certain content, like the bottom of the cup here, it may miss a few details that can easily be filled in after we are done creating our rotations. So I'll just tilt this back down to 0 degrees on that axis and take a look at the next set of buttons here, which adds rotations to the left or the right. So if I click this button, it's going to give us a new version of our object. And if I do that again, it will rotate it just a bit more. Now, if I go back to my original and just scoot my artboard back over here, I can do the same thing to the right so that we can preview multiple versions of these generated angles on our artboard. Do you want to note that you can go ahead and scale and move your objects, even if they are turntable objects, just like you could with regular vectors, because everything is still a vector object. You can also make a copy of your objects. And if your turntable bar goes away, you can always click the turntable button over here in the Properties panel to get that back. So if I wanted to continue working with this and perhaps take a look at the down angle with a few variations, I could do that as well. Now, if we take a look at our layers panel, you'll see that it has done this handy thing where it's labeling all of the degrees. So if you did want to know the specific rotation degree for each object, you have that there to reference. This may be handy if you are creating something like an animated GIF and want to export several frames to make an object look like it's spinning or tilting. Note that because we have that longer generation period, in the beginning, Illustrator has already generated all of the angles that are possible to achieve with Turntable in the background, which we can scroll through again here in our Variations tab. And so when you're using the slider bar or the buttons to generate rotation variations on your canvas, there is no delay. You can also choose right from the Variations tab here. If I just wanted to choose one of these more extreme angles, whichever of the generated objects that I've clicked on will switch to that angle. And again, if I want that bar to come up, I can just go ahead and click my Turntable button, and I can check the rotation values here in the center. There's also a button now that can just place all views on canvas. So if I go ahead and click that, it will ask me to select a location. I'll just click down here, and we can move these first generations out of the way. And if I zoom out a bit, you can see that it's given us the entire range of every generation that it can handle as an object. I'll just go ahead and put these over the background color and zoom in so we can see that better. And here I want to note that once you get into the more extreme angles, that's where you're going to run into some of this artifacting and a little bit of weirdness where the generation has not properly filled in different pieces of the cup. Of course, that's to be expected as it has less data to work with at those angles. So you're generally going to get the best results from smaller increments, somewhere in the 15 to 45 degrees. And with the up angles and the down angles, that's where you may run into things that will need a little bit more cleanup work. But now you will have a nice reference if you did want to create some of those more extreme angles, even if you end up having to recreate a few shapes here and there. So I'm just going to take one of the generations here to expand. I'm just going to copy that onto its own layer. I'll go ahead and hide all of the variations so we can just work with this one variation. Now at this point, this is still a generative object, which you can tell by looking in the layers panel here. And also there is a small blue icon that shows up that indicates that this is a generative turntable object. And to expand this object, we'll just want to go to Object Ungroup. A simple ungroup will allow us to, again, be working with just pure vector artwork. So if we're looking at our layers panel, we're just back to a set of regular paths now. I'll use Control or Command H to turn my edges back on, so we can just take a closer look at the paths that have been generated. In general, you can see that these are fairly clean. There are a few areas where there might be a bit of overlap, just like you might expect if you were doing an image trace from a high quality image. So just like with any image trace result, there will be a little bit of manual cleanup work you may have to do to make sure that your results are production ready, as you can see here where the eye meets some of the shading. But this does give you a nice quick shortcut to create quick variations of characters and objects on your canvas. Turntable is still being actively developed as it is a beta feature, so if you do try it out, remember to click those feedback buttons and go ahead and leave some feedback for the team that will help further development of the feature. I definitely encourage you to try it out with different illustration styles and just see how it can be helpful in your workflow.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And for thousands more how-to articles and tutorials, visit our website, CreativePro.com, and become a member today. Thanks for learning with us.